We have another episode of Online Leftists. Cappy, how are you doing so far today?
Good, I'm good. I'm a little tired, but I'm hanging in there. It was a all right Sunday.
I think we had some infiltrators on our Patreon. We had many defections, which is okay. We don't want to. All of the people who cancel their Patreon, I tend to think that they may be anarchists or pedophiles. I'm not sure which one. But and they're definitely infiltrators. They're probably State Department employees, and they should definitely... their hard drive should definitely be examined. The number one sign of degeneracy is canceling your Patreon to Online Leftists.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you.
Yeah, 100%. I don't trust those people whatsoever. I'm compiling a list. But also shout out to Salted Coke for joining. He helped us very much. I got to say, out of all, so we have a little teaser of the episode that's going to be coming out next week. We're looking at all the different sorts of left comms.
Yeah, and who better to ask than a left comm?
But like the least LARPy left comm.
Yeah.
The Yugoslav praxis schools, like actually like the only non-LARP version of like, it's like kind of like Marxism-Leninism with like worker-led coalitions.
Yeah, it's
worker-led councils, you know.
It's definitely interesting. So
it's interesting, right? I don't hate it.
No,
but,
yeah.
Okay, but today we are going to be shout out Salted for signing up for the Patreon, beloved member of the Discord and the communist community on TikTok, I guess. Yeah. Although many people dislike Salted, huh? Salted, what the fuck's the matter with you? Why are you rubbing everyone the wrong way?
Left comms, communizers, Marxist Leninists, everyone hates Salted. We always used to joke about it. I mean, I've been chatting with Salted for almost 3 years now. It'll be 3 years later this summer.
What is it? What do people find so cantankerous about him? Because he's never said anything to rustle my jimmies.
Because he holds views that the left comms don't like, and he holds views that the Marxist-Leninists don't like, you know? I mean, you'll hear him defend Deng Xiaoping, for instance. That's not very left comm, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's like the only reasonable. He's like the only reasonable left comm.
Yeah, it's almost like he's a real person who actually does like things in real life.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's called the Yugoslav Praxis School because they are the only left comms that can claim that they had praxis, right?
Yeah,
they actually they won power, organized united countries, created a Soviet republic, and led their ideals, and their policies were led by ideals.
Absolutely,
right. So it's like it's literally the only praxis school that left comms have, and yet they're persona non grata. Which is like bizarre.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful to have him in the Patreon. I always like Salted Coke's, presence. So, and he stayed up until like 2 a.m. to hang out with us. And
it was very helpful because I don't know what it is, but I don't know anything about Yugoslavia. I don't really know anything. So his input was very helpful. Yeah. But that episode is going to be coming out next week. So Cappy, you wanted to get some stuff off your chest versus making a dozen posts to commenters and people who had stitched you over the last week. Yeah. You have something to say to all these anarchists out there.
I do, yes. I'm not big into this stitch war. I'll stitch comments if they're under my videos, but I like, I don't want to do a million videos on the same subject going back and forth with the same people. We might as well set it all straight right here. So I have 3 anarchists who stitched me over the last week. I didn't notice until just yesterday or the day before because I never see that mentions thing, but we have at Anticipate796, Green.Ancen, and Alec W. Toonfars. These are the users.
So these are people who explicitly stitched you.
Yes. Yep.
I would like to say a special shout out to Reactionary Leftist, who he went on Orange Lazarus's live. I want to give him a shout out because he saw me in the comments and absolutely began spurging out, saying I was homophobic because I said his hat was gay, and I don't recall having said that.
I don't think you said that.
Well, it doesn't seem like something that I would say.
No. And
leave edited, but I could very well have. So I would like to apologize to people of the LGBTQIA community for that careless.
Wait, he said you said that in our podcast?
Yeah.
No, you
could, and I could have.
I'm going to go back and listen to it because I don't think you would have done that.
I don't think I would have either, or whatever. Maybe I called it lame. I don't know, but maybe I did. That's definitely probably something I thought while looking at it. It's like a purple pussy hat.
That's what you called it. I remember you saying that. You didn't say it was...
I remember. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember, but he could very well be right. But that was the only thing that he could say. Also, shout out to Spontex, our favorite dysgenic Englishman, currently on vacation in Wales, who's purportedly an Irishman who's anti-IRA, even though he claims to care about the Irish Republic, but he hates all states. So square that however you will. He's my favorite IRA-loathing, pro-Irish Republic, anti-state English accent Irish person. He's my favorite one of those. So he made a post. There was a recent edit going around that I reposted, of course, because get fucked, Spontex. You're so old. You're so old. And he's literally melting. And in that video, he's like literally whinging and wincing in the sun because, you know, he's English, obviously. Thoroughly English, ancestrally, spiritually, Eurocentrist, chauvinist, Euro supremacist. And a liberal, and he's red. He's mutton colored and a liberal, and also he's a liberal. But he recently did a story post complaining that someone had made an edit of him calling him a sub-3 Marxoid or something.
I saw that edit, yeah.
It was pretty funny. I shared it, of course, you know, because get fucked English person. But he did a story complaining about it and says he doesn't give one tiddly pinks. His belly is filled with pudding or something. He's with he doesn't care. He's deep in Wales. He has pudding in his belly and he doesn't give one tiddly puss or something about what Marxist-Leninists say about him. So I guess that will have to stand as his refutation of our podcast as well. No news there. Reactionary leftists coping, seething, spurging out, unable to refute any points. Spontex, ugly, British, old, red, English, unable to refute any points. Then we have Manifesto, English person of it has Angloid accent, Manifesto's an Angloid accent. That guy's still whinging, unable to utter any responses to us, still coping and trying to frame it as racist because he says once upon a time, some big white supremacist, they called me an Angloid, and that's why you calling me an Angloid is racist, which never happened. That never happened to him. It's literally made up. They literally would not call him that. They do not think British citizens of Pakistani descent or even English, they would definitely not call him that. It's 100% fucking made up weird fucking cope from a fucking 15-year-old who's too sensitive to be online. So we have that. Okay, so 3 enemies dispatched. And then I also want to say real quick, Ted Kaczynski's great friend who've said very mean and ugly things to you. Cappy, what did they say under your post?
They called me lazy, bored, and lonely.
You're not lonely.
Can you believe it? Not at all.
You've never been bored. You've never been bored.
How could I be? There's always something to do.
You're either streaming or reading books or torturing villagers in Minecraft. You're always doing something.
I said, there's always a book to read, an article to write, substances to abuse, people to hang out with. I can't. How
villagers
could you be bored?
to torture.
Yeah.
No one understands feudalism better than Cappy because he does it in Minecraft all the time. But Cappy's never been bored and he's never been lonely. No. He's got a whole community. I can barely now. He's like carving out. Cappy has all this like personal time and boundaries where he like has to hang out with his girlfriend. She's an op. She's ruining this podcast. There's like 2 or 3 days out of the week Cappy's incommunicado because he like cares about his girlfriend and loves her and stuff like that. So I know for a fact he's not lonely. He's so not lonely it's destroying the podcast.
I know. I thought you guys were going to fall apart when I went into the mountains for 4 days.
I was going through withdrawal, 100%. So, and then subsequently, we saw that Ted Kaczynski's great friend has torched their account, deleted all but 2 legacy videos, and uploaded 3 today, talking about the only reason they're staying online on that account is to cultivate their block list, which is very useful, which is funny because several people, I posted the link to that thing and several people are Discord are like, I can't see it. Cappy, why does everyone block you guys and let me fly under the radar?
I think she has community, like I forget what it was called because when I put it into the web browser, it said like community audience like settings or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you can get around those, but just by going to Snaptic and downloading it.
Yeah, that's actually true. I didn't even think about that.
So I promulgated her video in our Discord, which you can get to by going to Red Army or linktree.com/Red Army Capybara and find the Discord there. You can also find links to our Patreon, where we do 2 live streams every Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to be doing 2 more LeftCom streams this week, and then the next episode is going to be on left comms in general, again, because it's very interesting, and they're not a monolith, and it's kind of hard to kind of grapple what the differentiation is. But anyways, okay, with all that being said, those are our updates. So fuck Ted Kaczynski's great friend, fuck Spontex, fuck Canifesto, and fuck reactionary leftists. All those people can suck it. They suck big time. All of our points are unassailable. They're cowards. They're afraid to respond, and they're cowering, weeping, and coping.
All right, thank you for
now
the
with that being said,
Chloe.
Yeah. So what is this first video by Anticipate 796?
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to play it, or if you're just gonna leave room in the podcast to play it, or what you want to do with.
Well,
that.
let's go ahead and play it now. So because I didn't look at any of these, so let me go ahead and play this now. So let me go ahead and refresh this.
When are anarchists gonna stop acting like their revolutions and projects weren't authoritarian?
Well, what a coincidence. I'm an anarchist. Let us see what examples he has.
Like what? Was the CNT-FAI labor camps anti-authoritarian labor camps? Was the labor discipline that they enforced an anti-authoritarian labor discipline?
Ding ding ding. We have a winner. Yes. Of course the Sint-Fe had its faults. It is the major reason I distanced myself from syndicalism due to the writings of Alfredo M. Bonanno, though it is a false equivalence to say the Sint-Fe was on equal footing with the user on authoritarianism.
Or what about the Asayish in Rojava? Are those anti-authoritarian police? Or like the Contra Svedka in fucking Ukraine?
About Rojava, it isn't anarchist. Sure, it was influenced by Murray Bookchin, but it's still his laws, ministers, government, etc. Now, I do sometimes use it to show how self-governance works, though I wouldn't say it is anarchist. And about Mr. Makhno, most anarchists agree that was bad and want to build on top of it. Vyacheslav Azarov has a good analysis of it. Whilst it was a defensive action against the whites and reds, it still was a faulty system with innocence hurt. This again is a false equivalence fallacy.
That's just anti-authoritarian secret police. Like, Engels was so right about you guys. You think that by changing the name of a thing, you've changed the thing. But let me let you in on a little secret. You fucking haven't. Revolution is inherently authoritarian. Revolution is when one group of people overthrows another group of people and then subjugates that group of people to their authority. That's a revolution. This
LARP. Anyways, anarchism is trying to destroy the means of oppression, not revamp them. Think of it this way. If I break a handgun, a mentally ill man was pointing at me. Is this oppressive towards him? I am defending myself from getting robbed. Paradox of tolerance. It would be nice if there was no need for self-defense, but that will simply never happen. To put it simply, Engels' definition is odd and simply isn't used that often.
Anti-authoritarianism isn't a thing. It doesn't exist anywhere in the world. There's no such thing as an anti-authoritarian revolution.
LARP. Very little genuine substance to this vidpast. Critics anarchists agree with and read Engels. 2/10 enjoyable to flesh out my critiques since this was dumb.
Yeah, so, I mean, I have a few points to make on this. The first one I want to clear up is that my argument was not that anarchist projects equal the USSR, right? I wasn't trying to say that they functioned exactly like the USSR or anything like that, right? The claim was that anarchists claim to be anti-authoritarian, yet every revolutionary project they have ends up exercising authority in some form. So I feel like that a lot of this response, it just kind of treats my examples as if I'm arguing for like an equivalence between anarchist movements in the USSR, and I wasn't.
Correct. I have no feedback on that point. Yeah.
So a second thing I noticed about this was that most of their responses, like, the CNT had faults, Makhno, we think that was bad. Most anarchists agree that this was bad, that was bad, whatever it may be. But none of that actually addresses whether or not authority existed, right? They're basically arguing about like the degree of authority or whether it was justified, and whether, anarchists criticized it later or whatever. But I don't care if anarchists criticize it later. I was talking about actual existing movements led by anarchists. I don't expect them to not criticize it, right? But again, these are separate questions than the one that I raised, right?
So the only recourse they had was to deny the anarchist nature of the only movements people can point to in history of quote unquote anarchist praxis. That was their refutation.
Yeah, and I mean, look, even if Rojava is not actually anarchist, let's give that to him. There's two other examples in there still, you know what I mean, that are self-described anarchist movements who exercised authority. So even if you remove Rojava from the equation, you still have to grapple with these other two, you know what I mean?
Why did her example include a mentally ill man pulling a gun on her?
That's another point I have, is that, again, they're when they actually, I would say that their strongest point was when they said that anarchism is trying to destroy the means of oppression, not revamp them. But then they followed it up with that self-defense analogy. And again, that doesn't address my argument, because I don't consider every individual act of self-defense inherently authoritarian, right? We're talking about revolutions, and we're talking about structures within revolutions, right? It's not like, some guy was trying to hurt you, and so you hurt them. We're talking about, we're not talking about isolated interactions between individuals. You know what I mean? So I think that that's a really kind of weird point to make.
If the quote unquote mentally ill, ableist, by the way, if the mentally ill man pulling a gun on you is an example of authoritarianism, then what is getting the gun from him and putting him down, if not equally authoritarian? Like, what that is, you funny. Are then have the symbolic power in your hand, and then you were utilizing it. You were making a top-down authoritarian decision in the same way that he was.
I
also, in this broken metaphor.
Yeah, it is broken, and I feel like they're trying it. They almost dressed it up like morally, and we're not talking about like moral justifications. We're talking about revolutionary movements that suppress counter-revolutionaries or enforce collective decisions. Maintain a military discipline, a labor discipline, administrators, and ones that force you to comply. They compel compliance. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter whether it's justified, democratic, whatever the hell it may be, temporary, necessary, whatever. The fact of the matter is it existed.
What is this peculiar comment underneath this by this person who seems to have a ventriloquist dummy PFP and a username by the name of Black_Flame?
Let me say one more thing before we address that. They said that Engels' definition of authority and all of that was not really used often or kind of dumb. They didn't provide any of their own, so I'm waiting on that. But yeah, so.
And not only that, it's anything from Engels is going to be 1,000 times more cited and sourced than anarchists who don't even read. Most anarchism is just people like smoking weed and playing hacky sack and like talking about, I voted for Bernie or something. Like, first of all, anarchists don't read books. Second of all, and anything like it's a systematized ideology. There's going to be 1,000-fold more people using Engels' definition of authority than whatever some anarchist LARP would be.
Sure, I agree. So this comment, the reason why I wanted to address this is because this guy left this comment under my video, and I disproved his comment, and then he continued days later to leave this comment under this one. But he's basically saying that the labor camps in Spain were run by the Republican government. But he conceded here because of what I said. He said anarchists were involved, but this is a critique of anarchists that anarchists have made about themselves. Also, anarchists aren't against the use of violence, especially in self-defense. Well, we're not just talking about violence. We're talking about what the Spanish literally called a concentration camp. However, under my video, he said, I quote, "They didn't have labor camps. The Republican government had them. You guys are still repeating a video from 10 years ago." So you could see he did change his view a little bit from the comment he left on mine on the 3rd. But I want to read my comment because I did prove him wrong, which is why he adjusted his comment. So I had said that you can't place the blame solely on the Republican government, and I brought up Julius Ruiz's research called Work and Don't Lose Hope, and that details how anarchists took the initiative in establishing labor camps. And I quoted, However, the FAI, an elite group created in 1927 to preserve the purity of anarchist doctrine within the anarcho-syndicalist trade union movement, did not wait for discussions within the Republican government to come to a conclusion before deciding to act. It founded the first labor camp at Valmule. And then I went on to explain that the virtual museum of the Spanish Civil War is clear on their website that work camps were created in December 1936 by, I don't know if you would pronounce his first name as Johan, but Johan Garcia Oliver, and he was one of the most prominent figures in the Spanish anarchist movement and a leading member of the CNT FAI. So the anarchists were directly involved in the creation and running of camps, and the CNT leadership firmly supported the SIM, which was the Republican kind of the Republicans camps were run under what was called the SIM. So, I mean,
can I say I don't see anything wrong with anarchists actually doing some administrative action and throwing reactionaries in work camps?
No, do more. That's what I have. My critique.
More of that,
I think they're getting confused. My critique is not that they did that. My critique is that that's a good thing. You should do more. Put more fascists in camps. Subjugate them to your authority. That's what they're very much trying to defend.
And in fact, the only time that anything approaches what might be considered anarchist praxis is when they do act in a more top-down authoritarian way by a controlled group making decisions and pulling the trigger.
We love that. I have no issue with the CNTFAI having labor discipline. I have no problem with them running labor camps for fascists. No issue with that. Issue. They very much defended on the grounds of, well, we had to do it, it's this, and it's like, but I don't care that you did it. That's not my critique. My critique is that you're running around calling yourself an anti-authoritarian and saying USSR bad because USSR authoritarian, but then you're doing authoritarian shit. So,
and these people are so not serious. Like, for instance, Green.Ancen. Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that
next one. I'm ready for that. Okay, one. That's all I have to say about that. I mean, I don't think that the critique was really that great. So
they think that we're making like pearl clutching with that too. Like, we don't care that y'all had like fascists in fucking gulag. We don't give a shit. Do more of that. Actually be useful. Yeah. And that's not even the issue.
What we'll discover more is a lot of this is hinged on we have a dispute between the definition of authority and authoritarianism, obviously.
Okay, so yes, we did 2 whole podcasts about Green.Ancen, which they love pointing out, and I would like to say you do 2 hours full of bad faith stitches every day. It's literally your content model where you purposely misconstrue things that you play the clip and then purposely misconstrue it right after the fact. Well, out of this, the last episode where we completely, you can check it out in the episode, the Centauri Manifesto exposed. We did an infiltration op. We invaded her Discord using the supreme authority of Marxism-Leninism. We dispatched spies. We infiltrated her Discord. We secured the dossier. We exfiltrated it, and we analyzed it, and we exposed and destroyed it. They have been destroyed. And out of all of those, of the hour plus that we did critiquing the Centaurism, quote unquote, and the LARP for what it is, Orientalism and everything else like this, they made this video hyper focusing on one little thing that you said. And as of yet, this is the only response that they have made to the 2 hours worth of video, right? Other than to call us pro-land back.
Yeah.
Or anti-land back.
Anti-land back, yeah. Yeah, now I'm a snitch and anti-land back.
You're a snitch and anti-land back. However, the snitch allegations may not be unwarranted, but we'll talk about that. Okay, so should we just play this?
Yeah, go on. When are anarchists going to stop acting like their revolutions and projects weren't authoritarian?
Yeah, that's really cool, dude. Anyways, we're deconstructing the podcast, the second hour-long podcast episode that they did about me and Centaurism. And we've just got to the point where he was bragging about being a snitch at his commune. Just so we're clear, I'm just going to repeat back what he said. He said that he witnessed some of his other commune buddies playing with a glowing like fungus. And in the US, there's no glowing fungus in which will kill you. Just doesn't exist. In fact, across the world, there's no glowing fungus that'll kill you unless you ingest it. But he thought that the best course of action, when he saw this, he had no idea what was happening. He thought the best course of action was to go tell his like camp counselor leader or whatever. and say, leader, please stop them. And then the leader comes over and he says, go wash your hands. Right? He thought that was a really useful story about why authority is good or something. Like, okay, dude.
So fundamentally missed the point of that. Huh?
Yeah. And so, yeah, I have three things to say about this. So first and foremost, I'm not like, how could I put it? What I was attempting to do with that was show how even in, say, like, all right, so what I was trying to do was explain how authority emerges when there's coordination and rules, and that enforcement exists.
In real life situations, there is a sort of natural emergent hierarchy where people listen to other people more.
Yes, exactly.
And you appeal to the person who people listen to more because they respect him.
So it was an example of how even in like small forms of organization, roles are generated and decision making becomes centralized even without everybody agreeing on you. Like, no one, we didn't vote to make this person our leader, but everybody listened to them, right? So that was the only point.
It was a de facto hierarchy.
Exactly.
It was de facto, not de jure.
Exactly.
Nobody voted for this guy, but it was very clear that all voices were not considered equal, and some voices, when voicing opinions, have more weight because of experience, gravitas, and everything else.
Yes. And I feel like they distorted my example because their bit about no glowing fungus can kill you in the U.S., that's irrelevant. I never said that it could kill you. I never made that point. I never insinuated it. And I feel like that they're using, they did that to distort what I said to make the situation seem absurd, right? Rather than engage with the actual point of the example, which again, yes, I came across a group of my drunk comrades playing with a glowing fungus. I was about 17. This was my first time living in the woods. And I saw them doing that and thought, oh, that's not good. I was always taught not to touch glowing things in the forest, right? Bioluminescent shit. So I went and I told our leader, who happened to have lived in the woods and had the experience, and he wasn't happy with it, right? But again, they're kind of shifting the focus away from that and making it about, they're
buzzwording.
I never
say
said
snitch
that.
because they know that naive. Well, first of all, like, you can tell Green.Ancen has never done an illegal thing in her life. She's softer than baby shit. She's a fucking Canadian suburban kid, and she's using nomenclature from the street. Snitches. So you're a snitch. You're a tax-paying fucking. Shut up, Green.Ancen.
Also, like,
fucking quit LARPing like a fucking subversive or an outlaw. You don't know shit about it, and we're just showing how infantile fucking anarchists are, and they think no bedtime, no gods, no masters, no bedtimes. Well, that's anarchist praxis.
Someone under there was like, he's snitching on his own commune, and that looks really bad if someone doesn't go listen to the story, because no, I didn't snitch on the commune. I reported a safety concern to the commune leader, which was the correct thing to do. That way nobody got hurt. It could be a potentially dangerous substance, and I care about my comrades. The only other thing I really have to say about this, because it's substanceless, is it wasn't a summer camp. Like, it was a commune during the Occupy Wall Street movement, and them framing it the way they did is to downplay the actual context in my experience engaging in anarchist organizing and praxis. You know what I mean? So
also, I would like to point out, there's no evidence that Green.Ancen has ever been in an anarchist org, has ever done any organizing. She doesn't seem to have any anarchist comrades other than weird anti-work LARPers that have agglomerated around her because of her lives, chatting at liberals, I guess. But they've definitely never organized. They were never. Weren't you in an action committee with the Wobblies?
I was in the IWW and the General Defense Committee of the IWW.
Yeah, so like it's just asinine. This person doesn't even have your bona fides as an anarchist. Fucking taking like street vernacular to try to defame you, when she literally couldn't answer any of the criticism we levied against her about the de jure Orientalism and misappropriation of Indian governance terms and everything. The whole LARP and lie and fraud and grift between the Centauri Manifesto, all she was able to fix her face to say was some fucking weird anecdote about the fucking mushrooms.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. And like I'm not, I'm not out here like like, oh, I'm so organized, I've done so much, but like throughout my life, because I've been engaged in politics since 2011, it has been a lot now. And I was in about 2 or 3 different Occupy groups before we formed this commune. The only reason we formed the commune is because the occupation got shut down by the police, quite literally evicted with bulldozers and shit like that. So we moved into the woods. You know what I mean? Whether or not
Green.Ancen is a fraud, a liar, a grifter. Fucking, I don't like the way her hair looks. Those fucking glasses look weird on her fucking face. She literally misrepresents stuff, contorts stuff, is not a reliable narrator. She literally purposefully misconstrues stuff towards slander, and she makes slanderous, I would say legally actionable statements about people, like saying we're anti-land back or calling Ash a white nationalist. She literally makes up lies because she can't defend her fucking childish LARP ideology. Absolutely. So, I mean, I want to say that. And also, I hope that you eat a glowing green. I hope you fucking eat a bioluminescent fucking mushroom and something bad happens to you because of it. That's what I hope. Go ahead. No gods, no masters, no bedtimes. No.
Well, that's what I was thinking, that anarchists would quite literally let their comrades potentially end up in harm's way because they don't want to quote unquote snitch. And that's crazy to me. I was looking out for the collective. I was looking out for a group of 5 people who I cared about. You know what I mean? Like, imagine losing I mean, again, I didn't ever insinuate they could die, but I didn't want anyone to get sick. People were already getting sick out there.
Anarchists are literally the type of people that you have to be concerned about eating bioluminescent mushrooms.
You know what's funny? None of those people who were in that tent and got chewed out by the leader of the commune were mad at me either. None of them were like, snitch. They were like, oh fuck yeah, you're probably right. Like, you know what I mean? So fuck it, it's goofy. Anyway, Green, we're waiting for you to actually respond to our criticisms, but
I don't like her tone. She's a fucking theater kid. I'm betting that she's an only child theater kid. Someone made the mistake of telling her she was smart when she was like 12, and she never fucking forgot it. I have never seen a bigger example of a Dunning-Kruger activist in my fucking life. Get the fuck out of my face. Delete your account.
You have to actually do something to be an activist.
She wasn't in Occupy Wall Street. She occupies her dorm room and lies about having weird relationships with her professor that she met last year. Oh yes, I have kinship with the learned elder, the learned elder tribe members. No, you don't, you weird fucking liar. They don't claim you. They don't know what you wrote, and you didn't send that. You didn't have them check the manifesto. You're a weird liar, a LARPer, a grifter.
Yeah, I'm going to mention this again. She completely, I honestly feel bad for Dino because Green.Ancen leaves Dino to fend for themselves against the onslaught of criticisms that have been being thrown. I never see Green addressing it. Just Dino alone, getting completely threw Dino under the bus.
Also a weird age gap there. All right, and what's this third video that we have?
So the third one is just a picture. They wrote a description. I could read off what they wrote if you'd prefer me to read it. But there's no, they didn't want to use their voice, I guess, and like the other anarchists didn't want to use an AI voice, so they just wrote theirs out.
Okay, and I just want to say, is that first person that did the stitch, is that supposed to be Griffin from Berserk?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But they're all waiting for this because I made a TikTok today saying that we were going to be doing this, and within like an hour, somebody found that TikTok and sent it to that person, who then tagged Green and Alec under it. So hopefully they all listen to this, when it's out.
Okay, so Alec was waiting for a response?
Well, I think they're all waiting for a response, because they were all tagged in it by Anticipate.
They're not even going to reply.
No,
they're
probably
not going to reply. They're cowards. They don't have anything to say. They're weirdos. They're fucking weird teenagers on the internet LARPing like they're fucking revolutionaries. Shut up. Does your mother know you're using your phone for this purpose? Holy fucking shit. It's time for bedtimes.
Yeah.
These anarchists need a fucking bedtime, dog.
Well, it's 8:20 p.m. right now, so they should go to bed. All right, so Alec had written a description that said, I quote, "Being anti-authoritarian does not mean one must be living in the Big Rock Candy Mountains. It means prioritizing freedom, autonomy, and respect for all as much as possible. Slandering doing what must be done to preserve freedom or engaging in anarchist revolutionary justice in a war is not the gotcha you think it is. The childish notion that if anarchists oppose, say, the authority of the bosses and we oppose those laws and authority of their state, it goes on to mean we oppose, say, the laws of physics or the demands of necessity or the voluntary authority of expertise. Anti-authoritarians or anarchism is both a process and results orientation. It is a way of organizing relationships among the lines that people can be their best and be treated best. Anarchists favorite a law...
Of which there's no historical evidence of working. Go ahead.
Anarchists favored a law like the 8-hour workday because of the inherent rights of the workers to their bodies, tykes, and lives are among the common sense checks on imposition and exploitation that anarchism is based on.
The idea that any authority cannot justify itself and its utility to making life better is bad and unnecessary.
If it is necessary and makes life better, then the free person to their benefit will voluntarily see it as such and happily embrace it. That is what natural law is. Even the authority of truth imposed from without consent is oppressive. No one can be convinced of anything without agreeing to be. That is the nature of legitimate authority. It is consensual and or unavoidable.
They're like, even the truth, if insisted upon, is authoritarian, which is like the most anarchist thing I've ever seen. It doesn't matter that you're right. I refuse my right to go na 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 and stick my fingers in my ears.
Well, so I thought, like when I had first seen this, I was like, well, that's pretty long. It must be like multiple arguments, but it's just one argument repeated different ways with flowery language. So their position essentially boils down to the idea that authority is only illegitimate coercion, and legitimate, necessary, or consensual coordination is not authority, right? That's what I get from it. Basically, if I agree with it or I like it, it's not authoritarian. If I don't agree with it and I don't like it, it's authoritarian, right?
Yeah, and I can kind of see what they're saying there, but like I get hung up on all these examples. Number one, they're using liberal federal praxis here. Oh, like the 8-hour workday enforced by the federal government. Like which one? Like what are you? So that's literally a mandate that people other than anarchists fought protests for. That's literally organized strikes by organized labor. Did that of unions that have a clear hierarchy.
Yeah.
Right. So hierarchical labor organizations protested enough to where the federal government did something and imposed legally an 8-hour workday. How the fuck is that example of anarchist anything?
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, so the issue that I saw with it was I felt like it was kind of avoiding my argument by kind of redefining coercion and authoritarian like structures as non-authoritarian because they're considered to be justified, right? And that to me is basically a moralistic view of authority, right?
They're basically, this almost seems to be making an argument for representative administration. Of which I don't see anarchists talking about.
So, like, what I would ask this person is, what if coercion or authority is both justified but still coercive, right, and oppressive? Like, because if authority or coercion is being imposed on people, regardless of consent, right, in a revolutionary situation, what exactly makes it not authority besides anarchists' approval of the outcome of that authoritarian structure? That's kind of what I was thinking about it.
So Hitler was an authoritarian because the majority of Germans agreed with his policies.
Well, I was thinking about that. I'm like, okay, but what about all the policies and structures in the USSR, right? Us as Marxists understand how much the people and the broad masses, how much, the USSR was extremely democratic. You did control what was going on in your workplace and this, that, and the other thing. So by this definition, because there was, how could I put it? Because it was democratically decided by the masses, that would mean that it wasn't authoritarian, right? That's what that would have to mean.
Which means any representative democracy isn't authoritarian. And also, did you see that the China, upon the the NATO-led, what is the personal freedom index or whatever, the democratic freedom index, China is like the top 6 in there, and like America's near the bottom of the pile by like Saudi Arabia.
Really?
So that means China is an anarchist state because people overwhelmingly respect it and think that the government is working in their interest. So that would make China anarchist praxis by this definition, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. Again, there's not even much to say about this because it's a moralistic argument based around the justification for authority, not addressing whether or not it exists, which I feel like was a trend between these. The only other thing I wanted to mention was I never insinuated that anarchists have to be living like on the Big Rock Candy Mountain. Right. I don't like we said earlier, we don't reject anarchists utilizing authority. We think they should utilize it more. I don't expect anarchist society to be a utopia or anything like that. And like, again, I think maybe some of these people are missing. It's a very unrealistic understanding of authority, one that I did not even have when I was an anarchist, because I was making similar arguments as these people around 11 years ago, right? And I was quoting Kropotkin and stuff like that. So I guess let me just conclude it. We're done with these videos, but ultimately none of these responses disprove the existence of authority or authoritarian structures in anarchist revolutions, really.
The third one is arguing for it. Arguing for, see, they frame everything that's centralized or anything that's administrative or hierarchical or representative as authority, and yet this third one is doing a weird halfway cope by they're saying it's the administration or the governance wouldn't be authoritarian. So it's like all of these three anarchists are talking past each other. They're just like left comms.
Because
you ask 100 left comms what their ideology is, you're going to get 100 different answers.
Sure.
Because it's a LARP.
Sure.
It's a LARP fucking ideology.
So like, what if the people consented to a centralized structure of some sort? Does that mean it's not authoritarian? Because this anarchist is going to tell you, no, centralization is inherently authoritarian. That's part of the definition of authoritarian, of authority.
Let me go ahead and finish up. I'm going to try to.
I'm going to ask again. When are anarchists going to stop claiming their projects weren't authoritarian? That's it.
The only time they've ever done anything successful is when there was hierarchical stuff going on. So I want to try to find this real quick.
Yeah.
This one. Okay, so just as a caveat and a little bit of news, why don't we go ahead and listen to this one? The new Democracy Perception Index report dropped today. This was 2 days ago by Raoul Duke.
I love Raoul, by the way. He's great.
Okay, good. So let's go ahead and play this.
The new Democracy Perception Index report dropped today, and the United States looks like shit, while China looks really, really good. What makes this report extra interesting is it was posted by the Alliance for Democracies Foundation, which was founded by a literal ex-NATO chief. And its entire mission is to prop up Western liberal-style democracies. So you can't really accuse this report of having anti-Western bias. The methodology is pretty straightforward. They ask citizens of each country, do you feel your government works in your interests? And China's just above my head with a plus 14, sitting up there with Scandinavian countries and Switzerland, while the United States is down with a -1, sitting with Saudi Arabia. China's got a plus 12 in free speech, while we have a -18. China's got a plus 7 in transparency, being one of only 5 countries on the entire report with a positive transparency score, because they tell their citizens what they're doing to get buy-in to continue doing it. While the United States has a -51, the lowest on this entire page, because our government lies to us about fucking everything, because if they told us what they were actually doing, there'd be no buy-in whatsoever. They also asked the rest of the world on their perceptions of the United States and China. I'm just going to read this for you. Most countries have a more favorable view of China than the United States. 63 of the 83 surveying countries view China more positively. U.S. allies such as Israel, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Ukraine strongly prefer the United States, but these are relative exceptions. In Europe, net perceptions of China are higher than those of the U.S. in 20 of the 23 surveying countries. Only France, Poland, and Ukraine prefer the US. The same is true across much of Asia Pacific and Latin America. The gap is especially wide in the Middle East and North Africa, where countries like Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt view China far more positively than the United States.
Anarchists are another common thing I've seen lately is talking about, and China's fascist. China's fascist. Why? Because all states are fascist. Okay, then just lead with that. Because I think all states are fascist, I'm saying China is fascist. But they comport their weird slander in a way to fucking get buy-in with reactionaries? With like capitalists? It's weird how they do that.
Yeah, anarchists, when they do that,
Yeah.
you mean? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anarchists, and it's funny because Engels said this, that they do nothing but serve the reaction. And it's like, oh my God, like, no, you actually do, like, with everything you say, though, not just talking about authority. It's like talking about anything. You guys are fucking reactionary.
When when there is an ANCAP Andy in there who's saying specific things about China, I have to, like, I literally on my live the other day, I had to ask several people, are you a left com or an anarcho-capitalist? I can't tell. You guys are saying the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
You guys are literally, it's like they have the same fucking arguments. And I can't tell what their ideology is. And be like, I don't say State Department talking points. You do. You may not be smart enough to realize, but you are 100% saying things that Hillary Clinton, I have heard her say in speeches vis-a-vis fucking China. Like you are. You're doing State Department capitalist fucking talking points.
It's wild,
bizarre.
too, because I've been called a Fed and a fascist like a dozen times over the last week since I made those 3 videos addressing anarchists. And if you remember, that first video I made started out with me pleading with anarchists to just not use the term fascist because they kind of render it useless by doing that, and fascism's an actual thing. It has an actual definition. And so you shouldn't just throw it around. And I was very nice.
They're like, they cry rape. They're people who go around screaming rape at the top of their lungs.
They victimize themselves. I was talking about this. They act like, it's like that Reed Red dude who's always under my stuff being like, Lenin's awful, he killed anarchists. And it's like, do you know how many times anarchists attempted to assassinate Lenin and killed Bolsheviks, including bombing party centers? Like, no wonder they did the quote-unquote Red Terror. No wonder.
Yeah. Good riddance. It's only a shame that these 3 people that we stitched here today, the 3 people we replied to weren't amongst the many purged by the great and noble Lenin and Stalin.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping for these people. I don't hold any ill will. I mean, I don't like green, but for the other 2, I don't know. Maybe they'll find their way to Marxism. Or if they already consider themselves Marxists, because some anarchists like to do that, maybe they'll find their way to Marxism-Leninism one day. Because
they're all likely Democrat voters. I doubt it. They're way closer to capitalism than anything else.
A few months ago, somebody stitched me in a video I made about Kim Jong-un, and they were very dismissive and kind of talking shit, but they look like they're like 16, so I never responded. But they just followed me today, and they have Juchist in their bio now. They were liking my DPRK videos. I was like, hey, I know. Isn't that the dude that stitched me and hates the DPRK? And then I go and they have the DPRK flag in their bio. It says Marxist-Leninist Juchist. And I was like, holy shit, they came around. Look at that.
Get fucked, weird anarchists. I fucking hate y'all. So get fucked, weirdos. All right, Cappy, is there anything else you want to say to these fucking left-com LARPers and anarchist reprobates?
Nah, my usual thing, you don't do anything Cappy wouldn't do. Don't talk to cops, and, have a good Monday.
Unless you see people playing with radioactive mushrooms, and then, tell your local big man on campus.
Yeah, my camp counselor.
Yeah, you got to tell the camp. That's a good and noble thing to do. That is good governance of the commune. I appreciate that. All right, everybody, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say them. They shouldn't even. I took that. I'm offended for the leader of the commune because that person has literally gone to jail for their anarchism. So to talk shit, I mean, all right, what has Green done? But I'm rambling. So,
all right, everybody, eat a glow in the dark mushroom, and we'll see y'all later. Thank you.